Welcome back to Hillbilly Pillars. If you watch my channel enough, you know I've got some pretty strong superlative feelings about Van Morrison, the Belfast Cowboy. In my personal hierarchy of favorite recording artists, I've got Bob Dylan 1A and Van Morrison is 1B. Actually, my first big goal after I'd been into vinyl a little bit, collecting wise, was to get his entire 70s and 80s discography on vinyl. That's a lot of output. I think there was maybe 18 records. So real consistent, dude, and they're all just so great, and something about the nature of all those just seemed perfect to have on vinyl. It was a thing I did accomplish, and it's still like a real highlight that I have all those. So I've been thinking a lot lately about Van's music and what it means to me. There actually might be a separate video that's kind of a whole discussion on my own personal spirituality and how Van's work has kind of helped me define that. That's a whole other bag. I think it's an interesting topic, but I'm not going to go there with this. What I'm doing here is I'm counting down my own personal ranking of my favorite Van Morrison songs. I sketched out a rough list, and then I did a little whittling, and I kind of decided I would let that decide what I would cap the number at, and what seemed good to me for wanting to kind of get most of the songs I wanted to include in this and talk about was 40. It's probably not going to do well for like Google searches. It's better just to do 10 and like YouTube searches and views and stuff. But I had to go up to 40. So I'm going to try to do 10 at a time. I don't know the last one, if I find like I'm really going long like I'm known to do, I might break that down into 2 parts. But yeah. Here we go. So starting out, I actually have 2 honorable mentions before I get to number 40 on my countdown of my favorite Van Morrison songs. And the first one is just simply, I haven't had enough time yet, but I'm going to go with the closer off of Remembering Now, which is Stretching Out. I think breaking down these songs is going to be often. Like I said about this one, it's just seeking long. It's one of those Van tracks. I think it's really terrific and recorded well and doesn't miss. And I just don't think I've had enough time with it. So I just wanted to mention that. This comes after our man Van. He had some pretty strong feelings about the COVID era and being told he couldn't play. And I'll just get this out of the way so I don't have to mention this on anymore or those. He's an ornery dude. He's notoriously grumpy. There, I said it. I'm going to get that out of the way because I'm more centered on the work. I think for Van, I'm able to make that separation. So there. That's what I'm going to say about Van's notorious grumpiness, legendary. But so 1 asterisk for that. The next asterisk is a little known track you may not have heard of. I'm just kidding. Is Into the Mystic. I didn't know what to do with it. So this is already like my list is disingenuous because I chickened out. It's so omnipresent and so prevalent. But I also wouldn't argue with anyone who's like, it is a perfect track. It is a track without flaw. And it is The Heart of Moondance, one of his best albums. So, considering just how culturally saturated it is, it was hard for me to look outside of even my own fandom and to think about it. As I pondered Into the Mystic, I realized in my heart, I know every note, I know every line, I know every gesture. So, if I could get outside of that, it probably would be way up high on my list. But I felt even more disingenuous by just simply not mentioning it. I had to have Into the Mystic mentioned if I'm going to do a countdown of Van Morrison songs. So there we go. Now getting to my list. Coming in at number 40 off A Sense of Wonder, and that is 1984. Look at that cover. It is the lead track Torn Down a la Rimbo. Van Morrison is not afraid to put an upbeat, toe-tapping, what do the kids call it? I think I overuse this word, but banger to kick off an album. And he does it here on Sense of Wonder with Torn Down a la Rambo. It's a reference to the poet. And the song is about, he repeats in a later chorus, it's hard sometimes, it gets hard sometimes. And it's just kind of about just whatever the struggle may be. And, for him, I think it was like seeking, and as he'll often do, be referential in, not reverential, but referential in like his own songwriting. And that's his job to like try to connect with the spirit and how that can wear you down, just like the poet did, trying to connect with and source the muse. And so, yeah. Number 40, Torn Down a la Rambo, off of Sense of Wonder. Number 39, going to a record I do not have, and that is Days Like This. There is that 90s dry spot I've talked about on other lists. Almost all of my most wanted vinyls is I've gone back and got into vinyl later and wanting to complete the records of my favorite artists. It's those 90s that become challenging. And this is 1995's Days Like This. And the song is Rain Check. It's a real driving rock and roll song where Van singing his butt off on it, declaring my name is Rain Check on a golden autumn day and I don't fade away unless I want to. He's just proclaiming full-throatedly that he will not step back and he doesn't fade away unless he wants to, and sometimes he wants to. He points out in the song. But Rain Check is a jam, and I love it. Next up, we are going back to that same thing I mentioned on Torn Down a la Rambo, and that is a banger kicking off a record. And that is, we are 1978's Wavelength, and it is the opener, Kingdom Hall. For a while during Van's youth, Van's mom got into the Jehovah's Witnesses. I may have said that wrong. But started attending that church. Their church locations are known as Kingdom Halls. And Van talks about the band rocking out down at the Kingdom Hall. When we dance like this, we'll dance like we've never before. And golly, it just gets it going. And Wavelength is a personal favorite Van record of mine. I've got, a countdown I did of my 25 favorite albums, and Wavelength was on it. And it certainly doesn't hurt that Kingdom Hall kicks it off. You'll be looking down here. I'm just referencing my list. I don't want to get them mixed up. Number 37 is off 1977, so 1 year before Wavelength, off A Period of Transition, and that is Heavy Connection. Groovy track. Mac Remenack, Dr. John helped produce this record, and it's one in my ranking of his 70s and 80s albums. I mentioned that this album is the most side dominated album to me in his discography. I love side 2, but side 1 is a skip for me, and there's just hardly any skips, especially through the 70s and 80s. It might be the only side skip there is. I just don't feel the want to listen to it, and I've given it lots and lots of tries, but man, side 2, Joyous Sound, Flamingos Fly, Heavy Connection, and Cold Wind in August. That's a burner. That's all very great. Really great sound to it. Really great grooves to it. But Heavy Connection, just a relationship song, and just Van, doing what he does, and highlighting that he and this person have a real heavy connection. And I love the track. I think it's the highlight of the album. All right, going on to number 36. This is another album, kind of from that same period of, when vinyl hadn't resurged, and I do not have. It's also pretty darn expensive and rare to find, a little out of my price range. And that is from Magic Time 2005, and that is Celtic New Year. Just a great rhythmic, enchanting Van song. Again, it's got, his kind of like, he's a real strokey, hard guitar player, and this one has a and then the whole song and all of it builds around that riff for the whole song. And it's one that plays out. It's probably, a 6+ to 7 minute song, and it's beautifully done and beautifully recorded. And yeah, so at 36, I've got Celtic New Year. Number 35, the album, maybe this is the album that I most want currently on vinyl. I keep a running list of that in my head. There's Wide Swing Tremolo by Sunvolt. I don't have. That one hurts. There's Telltale Signs, the Bob Dylan Bootleg Series release. That one really kills me. But this is 1990s Enlightenment. And the song that I've got here at number 35 is So Quiet in Here. A peaceful resuscitation. A lot of times it's been referenced as like a return or like a postscript to Into the Mystic. It's a reflection of like being on the coast in Ireland, and he sings this must be what paradise is like. It's so peaceful in here, it's so quiet in here, and he talks about the ships going by and the sea and salt air, and it's just a beautiful reflection that it's just the kind of thing I don't know anyone else who can do it quite like Van can. So that is number 35. That's So Quiet in Here. At number 34, we have one of the big dogs that I'm sure a number of people would have high on their list, even though this is just songs. And it won't be the last song you'll see off this record, but that is 1968's Astral Weeks, and it is Cypress Avenue. Like, it's a blues, like, setup for the song, but kind of takes, whatever the magic is that is indefinable and makes it an all-timer that Astral Weeks has. But like in its foundations, it's got like a repeated line. It's like a line, repeat that line, and then it closes off to that consideration. But it's a reminiscing, reflective song about, a young girl in Belfast. And it's gorgeous, and I don't think there's much I need to add about the song Cypress Avenue. So yeah, number 34, Cypress Avenue. Number 33. All right, coming off, I'm checking out the years real quick. I don't have this one. I believe it's like 81, something like that. That is Beautiful Vision, and that is Northern Muse. A really great, song reflecting on a love, on a love interest. I do think it's like a sister companion to Girl of the North Country. He even has in the song, If You See Her, Say Hello, which I think is Bob referential. Beautiful Vision is another favorite Van album, but this is just a track I love off of it. I think it's quintessentially of the record. It's not one that like is on like greatest hits or anything, but I love it. He's performed it live often, and it's really cool and great and affirming to hear him do it live. So yeah, I've got Northern Muse at 33. 2 left on this part. All right, we have got to, once again, as earlier, 1973's Hard Nose the Highway. This album cover, man, that is wild. Good old Van. Look at the back cover, backing it up. It's like a comic strip. But anyway, the song that I've got at number 32 is Wild Children. It's kind of a slow, does move more into the jazz vibe, that Van will kind of pace himself out sometimes in an interesting way, kind of a cool like breakdown in the middle of the song into like a piano jazz thing. And he's reflecting on, the children born 1945, the soldiers were returning with love, lust in their eyes, I think is how it goes. And it's a cool, vibey rumination that I think is, it's very much a Van song, but I also think it's kind of unique to his thing as far as like the subject matter of the song. And yeah, it's one I really like. There's a great version of it on his most well-known live release. It's Too Late to Stop Now, and yeah, it's just great. Forever, I thought it was called War Children because the people coming home from World War II, but it's Wild Children. And I even think he says says War Children in the song for one or two of the verses. Anyway, one left on this section of my countdown of my favorite Van Morrison songs. And that is off of 1989's Avalon Sunset. The second side of Avalon Sunset might be my favorite Van side. You're going to see that big time on this list. And the first song off side 2 of Avalon Sunset that I have here coming in at 31 is Orange Field. Once again, Van mining kind of those same, retrospectively looking back, longing type of fields and vibes. And this is, you could see this really as like once again, kind of like a coda to Cypress Avenue, which has already been on this list, but it just launches right into like the chorus launches, "Oh, I'm gonna get my way in Orange Field," so it just jumps right off the track, and it's just sung so well and done so well. I love the song Orange Field. His most recent live release, he did a show at. It's also that's the name of the school he attended when he was a kid. And he actually did, I think it was a benefit concert there. But either way, he did a concert there and it was recorded. And his most recent live release, and it's really great, it's live at Orange Field. And he does that song, obviously. So that's really cool. So yeah, there we go. We are now rolling down, we're rolling into the Mystic. And our Bonnie boat is one as I run down my all-time favorite Van Morrison tracks. See you next time.